barbarians of North America, certainly. Let's explore the prehistoric cultures of North America, spanning from the Paleo-Indian period through the Archaic era and into the Woodland cultures. The Paleo-Indian period represents the earliest human presence in the Americas, spanning from approximately 13,000 to 7,000 years ago. It's a crucial era in the prehistory of the Americas, marking the initial colonization of the continent by ancient peoples. The lifestyle of Paleo-Indian people was characterized by their nomadic hunter-gatherer way of life, which revolved around the pursuit of food and other resources necessary for survival. Paleo-Indian period. During the Paleo-Indian period, which spans from approximately 13,000 to 7,000 years ago, ancient peoples known as Paleo-Indians colonized the Americas following the last ice age. These early inhabitants were nomadic hunter-gatherers who relied on hunting large game such as mammoths, mastodons, and other megafauna, along with gathering wild plants for sustenance. Their distinctive stone tools, including fluted spear points like those found at the Clovis and Folsom sites, are iconic symbols of this period. Paleo-Indian cultures were characterized by small, mobile bands that followed the movements of game animals across the landscape, adapting to diverse environments and climates. Archaic period. The Archaic period, spanning from 8,000 to 1,000 BCE, represents a transitional phase in North American prehistory, marked by significant cultural and technological advancements. Archaic peoples continued to rely on hunting and gathering, but also began to exploit a wider range of resources, including small game, fish, shellfish, and wild plants. Toolkits became more diverse, with the development of groundstone tools such as axes, adzes, and grinding stones, alongside the continued use of projectile points for hunting. Increased sedentism characterized archaic societies, with the establishment of more permanent settlements and seasonal rounds following the availability of food resources. Burial practices also became more elaborate during this period, reflecting the emergence of complex social and cultural practices. Woodland culture, the Woodland period, spanning from 1000 BCE to 1000 CE, saw further cultural developments, including the adoption of agriculture and the emergence of more complex societies. Agriculture became increasingly important, with the cultivation of crops such as maize, corn, beans, squash, and sunflowers. This shift led to increased population densities and the development of more sedentary lifestyles. Woodland cultures constructed earthen mounds, often used for burial purposes or as platforms for ceremonial activities, which are a hallmark of woodland archaeological sites. Pottery making became widespread during the Woodland period, with pottery vessels used for cooking, storage, and ceremonial purposes. Additionally, trade networks expanded, facilitating the exchange of goods such as pottery, stone tools, shell ornaments, and foodstuffs over long distances, highlighting the interconnectedness of woodland societies. The Barbarians Tribes. The Sioux tribe, the Sioux, also known as the Dakota, Lakota, and Nakota, are a group of indigenous peoples whose history, culture, and traditions are deeply rooted in the Great Plains of North America. Here's an overview of their history, culture, traditions, and way of life. Origins and territories. The Sioux are descendants of ancient peoples who have inhabited the Great Plains region for thousands of years. Their traditional territories encompassed parts of present-day Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Montana, and Wyoming. The Sioux are composed of three major divisions: the Dakota, or Eastern Sioux, the Lakota, or Western Sioux, and the Nakota or Assiniboine. Nomadic lifestyle. Traditionally, the Sioux led a nomadic lifestyle, following the seasonal movements of buffalo herds across the Great Plains. They lived in portable teepees made from buffalo hides, which could be easily assembled and disassembled as they migrated in search of food, water, and resources. This mobility allowed the Sioux to adapt to changing environmental conditions and exploit a wide range of natural resources. Hunting and gathering. Hunting was central to Sioux subsistence, with buffalo serving as the primary source of food, clothing, shelter, and tools. The Sioux were skilled hunters who utilized bows and arrows, spears, and later firearms to hunt buffalo and other game animals such as deer, elk, and antelope. Gathering activities focused on wild plants, berries, roots, and tubers, which supplemented their diet and provided medicinal and material resources. Cultural traditions. The Sioux culture is characterized by a deep reverence for nature, spirituality, and communal values. They believe in the interconnectedness of all living beings and practice ceremonies, rituals, and storytelling to maintain harmony with the natural world. The sun dance, vision quest, and sweat lodge ceremonies are among the most sacred and important rituals in Sioux culture, serving to strengthen spiritual connections, promote healing, and honor ancestral traditions. Social structure and governance. Sioux society was organized into bands, each led by a chief or council of elders who were chosen for their wisdom, leadership abilities, and contributions to the community. Decision-making within the bands and larger tribal councils was consensus-based, with leaders guiding the community through cooperation, respect, and mutual support. Women also played significant roles in Sioux society, contributing to household management, child-rearing, and food production. Legacy and influence. The Sioux have left a lasting impact on Native American and American history, shaping cultural, political, and environmental landscapes across the Great Plains. Their resistance to colonization, defense of their territories, and preservation of their cultural heritage have inspired admiration and respect for their enduring contributions to Native American sovereignty and self-determination. The Cherokee tribe, one of the most prominent indigenous peoples in North America, has a rich history, vibrant culture, and resilient spirit that have left a lasting impact on Native American and American history alike. Here's an overview of their history, culture, traditions, and way of life. Origins and territories. The Cherokee are a Native American tribe, originally from the southeastern United States, primarily inhabiting present-day North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, and Alabama. They are descendants of the prehistoric mound-building cultures of the region, with archaeological evidence suggesting their presence for thousands of years. Cultural traditions. The Cherokee culture is characterized by a deep reverence for nature, spiritual beliefs, and communal values. They believe in the interconnectedness of all living beings and practice ceremonies, rituals, and storytelling to maintain harmony with the natural world. The Cherokee language, a member of the Iroquois language family, plays a central role in preserving cultural identity and transmitting traditional knowledge. Way of life. Traditionally, the Cherokee were agriculturalists, cultivating crops such as corn, beans, squash, and sunflowers in terraced fields. They supplemented their diet with hunting, fishing, and gathering wild plants, following seasonal rounds guided by traditional ecological knowledge. Cherokee society was organized into matrilineal clans, with leadership roles and responsibilities passed down through the mother's line. Trail of Tears and Resilience. In the 19th century, the Cherokee faced forced removal from their ancestral homelands as a result of the Indian Removal Act of 1830. The infamous Trail of Tears saw thousands of Cherokee people forcibly relocated to Indian Territory, present-day Oklahoma, resulting in immense suffering, loss, and cultural trauma. Despite these hardships, the Cherokee persisted, rebuilding their communities in Indian Territory and establishing a new government and cultural institutions. Contemporary challenges and achievements. Today, the Cherokee Nation is one of the largest and most economically successful Native American tribes in the United States, with a thriving government, vibrant cultural institutions, and diverse economic enterprises. Efforts to reclaim and revitalize Cherokee culture, language, and traditions are ongoing priorities, along with initiatives to promote education, healthcare, and economic development for Cherokee communities. Apache Tribe. The Apache Tribe, renowned for their fierce independence and warrior tradition, has a rich history deeply rooted in the southwestern United States. Here's an overview of their history, culture, traditions, and way of life. Origins and territories. The Apache people are descendants of Athabascan-speaking groups who migrated to the southwestern United States from present-day Canada and Alaska around 1500 CE. They settled in the rugged landscapes of present-day Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and northern Mexico, adapting to diverse environments such as deserts, mountains, and plains. Nomadic lifestyle. The Apache traditionally led a nomadic lifestyle, moving seasonally to follow game animals and gather wild plants for food. They lived in small bands or extended family groups, traveling on foot or horseback and setting up temporary campsites along their routes. This mobility allowed them to exploit a wide range of resources and adapt to changing environmental conditions. Hunting and gathering. Hunting and gathering were central to Apache subsistence. They hunted deer, elk, bighorn sheep, and other game animals using bows and arrows, spears, and traps. Gathering activities focused on wild plants such as mesquite beans, prickly pear fruit, and agave, which provided additional sources of food, medicine, and materials for crafting. Warrior tradition. The Apache were known for their fierce warrior tradition and proficiency in guerrilla warfare tactics. They engaged in conflicts with neighboring indigenous tribes, as well as Spanish, Mexican, and American settlers, defending their territories and way of life. Apache warriors were skilled horsemen, using their agility and knowledge of the land to outmaneuver larger, better equipped forces. Asterisk cultural traditions. The Apache culture is characterized by a deep connection to the land, spiritual beliefs, and oral traditions. Ceremonies, rituals, and storytelling played important roles in passing down cultural knowledge, preserving history, and maintaining social cohesion within the community. Religious practices often centered around natural phenomena, such as the sun, moon, and stars, and included rituals such as the sunrise ceremony and vision quest. Social structure. Apache society was organized into extended family networks and clans, with leadership roles based on merit, skill, and experience rather than hereditary status. Elders played a respected role in decision-making and governance, offering guidance and wisdom to the community. Women also held significant influence, contributing to household management, food production, and cultural preservation. Contemporary challenges and revival. Today, Apache communities continue to face challenges such as poverty, healthcare disparities, and environmental degradation as well as efforts to preserve and revitalize their cultural heritage and languages. Many Apache tribes operate cultural centers, language programs, and educational initiatives to ensure the survival and resilience of their traditions for future generations. The Iroquois tribe. The Iroquois, also known as the Haudenosaunee, are a confederacy of indigenous peoples whose traditional territories spanned parts of present-day New York, Pennsylvania, Ontario, and Quebec. Their rich history, culture, and traditions have left a lasting impact on Native American and American history alike. Origins and Confederacy. The Iroquois Confederacy, formed around the 12th century, is one of the oldest participatory democracies in the world. It united the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, and Seneca nations, later joined by the Tuscarora in the 18th century. This confederacy, guided by the Great Law of Peace, established principles of governance, diplomacy, and mutual respect among member nations. Culture and traditions. The Iroquois culture is deeply rooted in a profound reverence for nature, spiritual beliefs, and communal values. They believe in the interconnectedness of all living beings and practice ceremonies, rituals, and storytelling to maintain harmony with the natural world. Longhouses served as communal dwellings for extended families, fostering cooperation, kinship ties, and mutual support. Way of life. Traditionally, the Iroquois were agriculturalists, cultivating the three sisters, corn, beans, and squash, which formed the basis of their diet. They supplemented their diet with hunting, fishing, and gathering wild plants. Seasonal rounds followed the natural cycles of planting, harvesting, and ceremonial observances, guided by traditional ecological knowledge passed down through generations. Social structure and governance. The Iroquois social structure was organized into matrilineal clans, with descent and inheritance traced through the mother's line. Each clan had its own leadership and responsibilities, contributing to the overall cohesion of the community. Decision-making within the Confederacy was consensus-based, with leaders chosen based on wisdom, experience, and dedication to the common good. Legacy and influence. The Iroquois Confederacy played a significant role in shaping colonial and American history, influencing concepts of democracy, federalism, and human rights. Their principles of governance and diplomacy served as models for the United States Constitution and inspired leaders such as Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson. Despite centuries of colonization, the Iroquois continue to uphold their cultural heritage, languages, and sovereignty, ensuring the survival and resilience of their communities for future generations. The All tribe has a storied history, vibrant culture, and resilient spirit that reflect their deep connection to the land, spirituality, and communal values. Through their traditions, stories, and way of life, the Sioux continue to inspire admiration and respect for their enduring contributions to Native American history and heritage. The Barbarians' way of life. The way of life for many ancient barbarian cultures, a term often used to describe non-Roman or non-Greek peoples, was deeply connected to their natural surroundings, emphasizing survival skills, communal living, and spiritual beliefs. Here's an overview of their way of life. Hunting and gathering. Hunting and gathering were central to the survival of many barbarian cultures. They relied on hunting game animals, such as deer, boar, and wild birds, as well as gathering wild plants, fruits, nuts, and roots for sustenance. Hunting was often a communal activity, with groups working together to track and kill large game, while gathering expeditions were undertaken by women and children to collect plant foods and other resources. Communal living. Barbarian societies were often organized into kinship-based groups or tribes, with extended families living together in communal settlements. These settlements were typically located near sources of water and abundant natural resources, allowing for easy access to food, water, and materials for shelter and clothing. Communal living fostered cooperation, mutual support, and shared responsibilities within the community. Spiritual beliefs. Spiritual beliefs were integral to the lives of many barbarian cultures, shaping their worldview, cultural practices, and social interactions. They often worshipped nature deities, spirits, and ancestral beings, believing in the interconnectedness of all living things and the importance of maintaining harmony with the natural world. Ceremonies, rituals, and sacrifices were performed to honor these deities, seek guidance, and ensure the well-being of the community. Shamanism and animism. Many barbarian cultures practiced shamanism, a spiritual tradition in which shamans, or spiritual leaders, acted as intermediaries between the human and spirit worlds. Shamans performed rituals, communicated with spirits, and healed the sick or injured through spiritual means. Animism, the belief that all natural objects, animals, and phenomena have souls or spirits, was also common among barbarian cultures, influencing their spiritual beliefs and practices. Nomadic or semi-nomadic lifestyle. Some barbarian cultures led nomadic or semi-nomadic lifestyles, moving seasonally in search of food, water, and pasture land for their livestock. Nomadic tribes often lived in portable shelters, such as tents or yurts, allowing them to easily relocate as needed. Semi-nomadic groups practiced a combination of hunting, gathering, herding, and small-scale agriculture, adapting their lifestyles to the environments they inhabited. Overall, the way of life for barbarian cultures was shaped by their close connection to nature, spiritual beliefs, and communal values, emphasizing survival skills, cooperation, and adaptability to their environments. While specific practices and traditions varied among different cultures, these core elements were fundamental to their way of life and cultural identity. The legacy of the barbarians, often portrayed as uncivilized or primitive by ancient civilizations such as the Romans and Greeks, is more complex and multifaceted than historical stereotypes suggest. While they were indeed perceived as outsiders by these advanced societies, the impact of the barbarians on the course of history and the development of civilizations is undeniable. Here are some aspects of their legacy. The legacy of the barbarians, cultural exchange and synthesis. Despite their differences, interactions between barbarian tribes and advanced civilizations led to cultural exchange and synthesis. The barbarians adopted aspects of Roman and Greek culture, such as language, religion, and technology, while also contributing their own cultural traditions to the mix. Military conquests and political transformation. The barbarians played a significant role in shaping the political landscape of Europe through military conquests and invasions. Barbarian tribes, such as the Visigoths, Vandals, and Ostrogoths, established kingdoms and empires that challenged the authority of the Roman Empire, eventually leading to its decline and fall. Migration and settlement. Barbarian migrations and settlement patterns reshaped demographics and territorial boundaries across Europe. The migration of Germanic tribes into the Western Roman Empire, for example, resulted in the establishment of new kingdoms and the eventual emergence of medieval European states. Legal and administrative traditions. barbarian kingdoms developed their own legal and administrative traditions, often influenced by Roman and Germanic customs. Elements of barbarian law, such as trial by ordeal and customary law, persisted in medieval legal systems and influenced the development of European legal institutions. Cultural resilience and survival. Despite attempts by advanced civilizations to suppress or assimilate them, many barbarian cultures persisted and adapted over time. The resilience of barbarian tribes, such as the Franks, Angles, and Saxons, ensured the survival of their languages, customs, and identities, contributing to the diversity of European cultures. Myth and legend. The legacy of the barbarians lives on in myth and legend, shaping cultural perceptions and historical narratives. Barbarian leaders such as Attila the Hun, Alaric the Visigoth, and Clovis the Frank are remembered as powerful and influential figures in popular imagination, reflecting the enduring fascination with their exploits and achievements. The legacy of the barbarians, often misunderstood and underestimated, is far-reaching and multifaceted. Despite their portrayal as primitive outsiders by ancient civilizations, the barbarians played a significant role in shaping the course of history and the development of civilizations. Through cultural exchange and synthesis, military conquests, migration and settlement, legal and administrative traditions, cultural resilience, and enduring myth and legend, the barbarians left an indelible mark on Europe and the world. Their impact is evident in the diversity of European cultures, the transformation of political boundaries, and the persistence of their cultural contributions in language, law, and folklore. By recognizing and understanding the complexity of their legacy, we gain insight into the dynamic and interconnected nature of human history and the enduring influence of diverse peoples and cultures. For more, subscribe and press the bell icon. Thank you.